Hi there, I'm Neil Gordon. Welcome to Law Call. We've got the answers to your legal questions, and here's what's coming up tonight in the program. In our caller segment, we'll discuss all types of personal injury claims. So if you've been injured and you just don't know what to do, please give us a ring at 803-442-4551. A bit later on in the show, we'll talk about why it seems to be taking your case a long time to get resolved. First, though, Attorney Vic Hawk is here to take a look at one of your email questions. And good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Neil. Happy to be here.
Great to be here as well. And, our theme is all about injuries, and oftentimes it deals with our automobiles. And we're getting a question from Trent tonight, who was in a minor accident with another driver, but we've learned that both of them were on their cell phones at the time of the fender bender. And Trent wants to know, will each be responsible for their own damages?
Trent, it depends on the circumstances of the case. Let's just say, for example, when you say fender bender, I'm thinking of a simple rear-end collision where you're sitting at a stop sign and the person runs into the rear of you. Under Georgia law, there's a comparative negligence state. I just can't conceive of a reasonable defense being the basis that you're on your cell phone when you get hit from behind. But let's say, for example, it's a red light situation where both of you claim that you had the green light and you're both on the cell phone. Then in that circumstance, the defense lawyer will certainly raise that as an issue of comparative negligence, equal negligence on the part of both of you. Now, if you change the scenario again, you got three witnesses to say the other person had the red light and you're on your cell phone, you didn't have any time to react, then they're not going to have a very valid defense. So it really just depends on the individual circumstances. But just like we always say, don't text and drive, and you better watch use of the phone as well, because you can be a distracted driver as well.
And if you send, it could be the end, right?
Could be the end, that's right.
Public service announcement by Vic Hawk, of course. Hey, we'd like to hear from you as well. There's a couple ways to get in touch with us. Love to read an upcoming email question. One way is to go to Vic's site at vichawklaw.com or turn here to wrdw.com. You'll get some bios on the program and let you know what's coming up. And on the right-hand side there, click on the red button and fire off those questions. We would love to hear from you. Now, we're going to take your questions live in just a moment. Again, want to give you the number 803-442-4551. And if you've been watching the program over the course of the last 2 years, you know this guy does not like to settle. He will go to court, and he will go as far and wide as you can, even 50 miles away, to find some of the best trial attorneys in
That's
in this
exactly
area.
right. And, I've told you that we're going to bring you trial lawyers, and we always tell you, don't settle for anything less than a trial lawyer if you're going to get someone to help you with your personal injury claim, because the insurance companies love those screening firms that just take claims in and then get what they can for the claims, and the insurance company knows that there's no threat that they'll ever be brought to court by them. And so tonight I brought you Dan Luganbill. Dan is his office is in Bamberg, South Carolina. He also has an office in Barnwell, South Carolina. He's a member of the South Carolina Trial Lawyers Association, and he tries a lot of cases on behalf of injured people throughout his community and the general community of South Carolina. Dan, can you tell our viewers what are some of the defense tricks that we're seeing now that involve just the office conferences with the doctors by the injured parties? How's that used against them?
One of the things I'm seeing a lot recently, and it seems to be a pretty standard tactic now against all insurance lawyers, they want to say that your doctor doesn't really know what he's talking about. And they're going to base that on something you may have forgotten to tell your doctor about, maybe what part of your body hit where inside the car, or how hard the collision was, or what you were doing at the time. And none of it is really relevant except to try to call into question your own doctor's opinion about the causation of your individual damages. And so when you go to your doctor, not just to get good medical care, but to help us help you later on down the road, make sure you tell your doctor everything.
Yeah. And one of the things that comes up continually with defense lawyers is that with individuals, everybody's different. And as you grow older, you're going to have pre-existing physical conditions. And if you fail to disclose those pre-existing physical conditions to your doctor, and then he's later confronted with it at trial, it undermines your credibility at trial. So it's very important that you disclose those pre-existing conditions, because the aggravation of a pre-existing condition can be so much worse than an original injury. If a person already has arthritic joints and they suffer a traumatic injury, they could live with those arthritic joints for the rest of their life and have no pain. But then after they suffer a traumatic injury, really go through an experience nobody wants to go through, and they have a very difficult time getting over it.
Well, Laverne twisted her ankle in an injury and joins us from Augusta. How are you, Laverne? Laverne, could you turn down the audio on your television set? We understand, were you shopping at a local store and got hurt?
Laverne.
Laverne, we're listening to you.
Laverne, are you there? Let's see if we can kind of paraphrase it.
Sure.
Apparently, Laverne slipped, I guess, in a local dressing room, twisted her ankle, apparently went and talked to the folks that were there at the store. Nothing, though, has happened. Is there another step for her to take?
Yes, there is another step you can take, Laverne. You need to report it to the management there at the store, and then if they don't respond to give you information about how to reach their insurance company, then you're probably going to have to get to a lawyer to see if they can help you. Now, in Georgia, almost every occasion, there is MedPay that ranges anywhere from $500 to $5,000 to pay for medical care, regardless of fault. Whether the store was at fault or you were at fault, it doesn't matter. So it's very important that you follow up with that. Now, Dan, in South Carolina, do they have policy provisions like that for MedPay?
What I've seen is most of your major chains carry MedPay, but your smaller mom and pop stores may not, so it's going to be very fact-driven.
Right.
Well, John joins us from Augusta. John, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
John, share with us what happened without naming the name of the establishment. What happened at a bar recently?
Well, I was at a local bar when I stepped outside, and an employee of the bar that worked there attacked me and done about $10,000 worth of medical problems to me, and with broken ribs and my thumbs and everything broken, and a big gash across my head and everything, and about $10,000 in medical bills and everything. And I was wanting to know, can the bar be held responsible? And also, since he was an employee of the bar working that night, can the bar be held accountable as well with a civil lawsuit?
John, the bar can be held accountable. They would be held accountable under this theory that the bar owners negligently entrusted this employee with either security or management of the bar, and as a result of that, it led to this attack. Now, if this attack was motivated by some misconduct by you, then of course that's going to mitigate it against any potential claim. We've handled several of those and been able to get really good results. So it'd be a good idea for you either to contact us or a good trial lawyer with regard to that kind of claim. Do y'all still have the same thing in South Carolina?
Absolutely.
Negligent entrustment?
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to continue with the program all about injuries. If you have any situation, we've got a couple of trial attorneys here to help you. No charge tonight, real special. The number to call, 803-442-4551. We'll be right back with more of News 12 Law Call. Welcome back. If your lawsuit's headed to court, you better be prepared to wait a while for a verdict. Tonight, personal injury attorney Melissa Detchpendy explains why in our legal brief.
Many people get frustrated after their personal injury lawsuit is filed because such a long time passes before any settlement or trial. Here's what's happening. In the discovery phase, you and your lawyer will need to gather up all of the medical records, your bills, and other proof of your injuries. Some of these must be obtained in a specific way to make them admissible at trial. This just takes time. The other party's lawyers may slow things down by scheduling what seems like an endless number of motions and hearings on motions. They're hoping you'll get tired of waiting and agree to settle for less. If your case doesn't settle, it will go to trial. But trials are on the court schedule, not the lawyer schedule. Having a case that's 2 to 3 years old before going to trial isn't unusual. But if you really have a valid claim, your patience can pay off. That's your legal brief for tonight. I'm personal injury attorney Melissa Detchmendy of the Vic Hawk Law Firm. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Melissa. We're rejoined by attorneys Vic Hawk and Dan Luganbill. Our topic tonight, all about injuries. I want to give you the phone number again. Phone lines are open at 803-442-4551. Dan, just curious, out in Bamberg and Barnwell, if there are billboards from attorneys saying call them if you've got a personal injury case. We know in Augusta, all over the television airways and billboards, there are. I guess the question for somebody at home, how do you know whether you really have a personal injury case or not?
Well, the first question is, do you really have a personal injury lawyer? Because if your lawyer believes one call is all it takes, you don't really have a trial lawyer and you need to make another call. But if you have a personal injury case, I think most people know when they've been hurt and it wasn't their fault. And if that's the case, then you need to get a lawyer.
Fair enough.
And he hit the nail on the head.
Bingo. Bingo. We have a call from Evans tonight. Her name is Mara. And Mara, we understand you were in an accident and it was not your fault, correct?
That is correct.
How are you doing, by the way?
I'm on the mend.
Okay. From a medical and financial standpoint, have you been made whole after your incident?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I was injured while on the job, and my employer paid continuation of benefits for 45 days. So they covered my doctor's appointments and my physical therapy for 45 days. I need more therapy, and I'm not sure. I didn't miss any work, and my employer paid for my medical costs thus far, but I do need to continue. The other driver, I was stopped at a red light, and the other driver hit me from behind and was ticketed for failure, I think following too closely. So I haven't done anything. I haven't contacted the insurance company. I haven't contacted a lawyer because I'm not sure, since my employer has paid thus far, if I even have a right to pursue anything. But I do need more therapy, physical therapy, but that would now be at a cost to myself because my employer would no longer pay after the 45th day.
All right, Mara, you have a unique situation. You actually have two claims. You have your workers' compensation claim, and then you have your personal injury claim. As far as your workers' compensation claim is concerned, they have to pay all your medical bills that are related to the injury that you suffered during the course of your employment. They also then subrogate against your personal injury claim to get reimbursed for that medical expense at the end of the case. That's why it's very important that you have a good trial lawyer helping you, because before they're able to get any money by way of subrogation, you have to be made whole. In other words, not only your medical expenses, your total lost wages, your out-of-pocket expenses going to and from the doctor, your property damage, and of course your pain and suffering, the injury that you suffered from or may suffer from for a long period of time. And in addition to that, something that kind of bothers me is you didn't mention that you notified your own insurance company. So let's just say, for example, this person that injured you denied coverage later on, or the company denied coverage later on. If you didn't notify your own insurance company of the accident, then you could lose your uninsured motorist coverage. So you need to get to a trial lawyer as quick as you can, because you do have a good and valid claim and you need to pursue it. Dan, is it in South Carolina, is it a similar kind of situation with an injury
Very
arising
much.
out of employment?
Yeah, very much. The one thing that would be different for us is the employer can't cut it off after 45 days. If you were on the job
can't
and you
do
were
it in
injured,
Georgia either.
they've got to keep paying you until a doctor says you've reached the end of your treatment.
Right.
And you still have your accident claim.
Right.
Well, we've got our first call from the Palmetto State. Tommy joins us. Tommy, where in South Carolina are you from?
I'm from North Augusta, but but I'm living in Granville right now. I think I'm in Granville.
Well, super. Well, I'm sure you are. Welcome to the program. Thanks for calling in. What question do you have for Dan Luganbill tonight?
Well, I think my question has already been answered. My girlfriend was in a car accident, a fender bender, and I was wondering if it was necessary for her to even get a lawyer since the insurance company is working well with her. If, was everything just, she just take care of herself.
Dan?
My advice would be is to trust your instincts. If you feel like you're being treated fair, then maybe you don't need a lawyer. But chances are you're not. The insurance company is there to hold on to as much money as they can and not give you any money if they can help it. And their interests are different than yours. So you should probably at least consult a lawyer. Whether you hire one, I guess, will depend on where you go and what happens after that.
Yeah. You have to be real careful with that. Insurance companies, you have to remember, they want to pacify you. They want everything to sound very good as far as what they're going to do for you or may do for you. But generally, they give with one hand and they take with the other. So it's very important that you at least consult with a trial lawyer with regard to the claim before you make that decision.
Well, we're going to pay the bills, take a short break. We'll be right back. We still have time for more of your calls at 803-442-4551. Tonight's topic, all about injuries. Well, thanks so much to Dan Luganbill for making the trip from Bamberg Barnwell. He's from the firm Wilson Luganbill in Kirkland. The toll-free number to call in the morning, 877-471-0048, or online it's WLKLawFirm.com. Vic's website is VicHawkLaw.com. To make an appointment at any of the 4 offices up on the screen, the number 706-722-3500. Our topic tonight, all about injuries. The number to call, 803-442-4551. We're joined on the telephone by Sharon from Augusta. Hello, Sharon. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Golly, we understand there's been a death in the family, a car accident. First of all, our condolences. How is this all shaken out after the death in terms of insurance and trying to get everything handled?
Well, my insurance company, my stepfather was driving my car, and my insurance company paid for all medical damages for the other vehicle driver, which was a 15-year-old. And it was deemed that my stepfather was the person who caused the accident. And so when I got to the site, she had been, which was the driver, the 15-year-old, she had been released to leave, and no citation was issued, as I was told by the police, the officer. No citations were issued, and my stepfather being deceased, they did not issue a citation to him, they did not issue the citation to me on behalf of him. But being that he was alleged at fault, my insurance company paid up to its max for the other driver in the vehicle, which meant my car was, there was no payment for my car. There was no reimbursement for the damages to my car. There was no monies available for his death. So later on, in about 6 months, I've began to get fluttering mailings from structured settlement companies that are saying there was monies available, and I don't understand where the monies would have been coming from, being that they had deemed him being the cause of the accident.
Sharon, so your question is what?
How do I find out where this money, they're saying that it's insurance money and that it's from the car accident. And I'm like, well, how do I find out what insurance company, if any, made payable or has created a structured settlement on behalf of this accident?
Sharon, you're probably just getting some junk mail from companies that do structured settlements or or bi-structured settlements is generally what you should be getting the phone calls from. And they've just got the at-fault party mixed up. As soon as they see a death involved in an accident, they immediately think that there's going to be a payment for the full value of that person's life. But in this case, because the stepfather was at fault, there's not going to be any payment. Now, with regard to your property damage, if you had collision coverage, you can file under that and get it covered.
Okay, real
take
quick,
this
one last question. Anthony from South Carolina with a back injury. Anthony, what's your question for Dan tonight?
Yes, sir. I had a car wreck last year, and I have had back surgery previous to the car wreck, but my pain has been increased greatly since the wreck, and I've had a surgery previous to the wreck, but I'm just wondering what I should do with this as far as trying to get some compensation, because this is going. I have paperwork from my doctor stating that this has been exasperated from the injury.
Anthony, hang on while Dan
Go,
answers.
Dan.
Anthony, that's it kind of goes back to what we opened the show with.
Yeah.
Make sure you tell your doctor that this is new pain, that this is worse than what it was before, and that it happened from the accident. The insurance company lawyer is going to say that this is just your old accident and it has nothing to do with the wreck you were in, but your doctor should be able to show that that's not the case, and you are absolutely entitled to be compensated for the fact that you are now worse off than you were before the accident.
Yeah.
You need to get to a trial lawyer.
And now we want to tell y'all this now. Those consultations with trial lawyers, all of us, are free.
Absolutely.
And the cases are handled on a contingent fee basis. So if we aren't able to help you, you don't have to pay us.
And another good example why you should not settle, because your injuries could get worse over time.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great show. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for
Appreciate
calling.
Coming on out. Great program. Next week we'll have much more for you on any legal topic. You can ask us anything. Have a wonderful work week ahead.